Good morning, students. So today's topic is on pituitary gland. In the last class in the endocrine system, we have finished about thyroid gland, which is the most important gland. So next important gland is the pituitary gland. Histology and the location, everything you must have been read in anatomical part. Just briefing about the histology. The pituitary is divided into anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is called as adenohypophysis, and it is divided into 2 to 3 types of cells. One is called as chromophil cells, which have acidophilic granules. In this we have 2 types of cells. One is called as somatotrophs, which secretes GH, that is a growth hormone, and next cell is lactotrophs, which secretes prolactin. Then chromophil cells, which have basophilic granules. In basophilic granules we have 3 types of cells called as gonadotrophs, that is which secretes FSH and LSH. Then thyrotrophs, which secretes thyroid stimulating hormone. Then corticotrophs, that is adrenocorticotrophic hormone or melanocyte stimulating hormone, produce ACTH, melanocyte stimulating hormone, beta lipoprotein and beta endorphin. Then third type of cell is called as chromophobe cells without visible granules. So we have one chromophil cell with basophilic granule, chromophil cell with acidophilic granule. Then third is chromophobe cells. From the anterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary is called as neurohypophysis, and posterior pituitary contains granules of neurosecretory material made up of 2 octapeptides called as vasopressin and antidiuretic hormone or antidiuretic hormone. The next is oxytocin, both of which are produced by neurosecretory cells of the hypothalamus but are stored in the cells of posterior pituitary. So ADH, the main function of ADH is it causes resorption of water from the renal tubule, that is antidiuretic hormone. It is against diuresis and is essential for maintenance of osmolality of the plasma. Its deficiency results in diabetes insipidus characterized by uncontrolled diuresis and polydipsia. And second hormone released by the posterior pituitary is oxytocin. Oxytocin causes contraction of mammary myoepithelial cells, resulting in ejection of milk from the lactating breast and cause contraction of myometrium of the uterus at term. So these are the 2 hormones from the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. Comes to the disorder of pituitary glands. So mainly pituitary gland disorders are hyperactive and hypoactive. That is what hyperactive is called as hypopituitarism. In hypopituitarism we have gigantism, acromegaly, hyperprolactinemia and Cushing disease of the anterior pituitary. And in posterior pituitary hyperactivity we have syndrome called as syndrome of inappropriate secretion of ADH and precocious puberty. If it is hypopituitarism, we have dwarfism, acromia, Siemens disease or Sheehan syndrome, diabetes insipidus. So we will read one by one about all these disorders. So gigantism is a pituitary disorder characterized by excess growth of the body. Height of the patient will be 7 to 8. This is a gigant person. Gigantism is because of hypersecretion of growth hormone in childhood or in pre-adult, and the tumor of acidophilic cells of anterior pituitary. Signs and symptoms: a patient will be having huge stature, 7 to 8 feet, hyperglycemia, develop glycosuria, pituitary diabetes mellitus, headache due to tumor of the pituitary. Sometimes gigant will have the visual disturbances, burning of the gigantism, and in hypopituitarism due to burning of cells of anterior pituitary. So this is the gigantism seen in childhood. So they will continue to grow because of excess of growth hormone. This is a normal person. Then acromegaly. Acromegaly is an anterior pituitary disorder characterized by enlargement, thickening and broadening of the bones, particularly in the extremities, and this is mainly seen in adult. Adult is acromegaly, childhood is gigantism. The cause of acromegaly is hypersecretion of growth hormone after fusion of epiphysis with the shaft of bone. An adenomatous tumor of anterior pituitary involving the acidophilic cells can lead to increase in growth hormone secretion in the adult. So this is the gigantism, where you can see the increase in the bone, prognathism, facial abnormalities, all those. So striking feature is the protrusion of the supraorbital ridges, that is eyes. Eyes will be protrusion of supraorbital ridges, broadening of nose, thickening of lips, thickening and wrinkle formation of forehead, lower jaw is protruded called as prognathism. Faces with these features called as acromegalic or Gorelick faces. Kyphosis will be there. Kyphosis is enlargement of the hands and feet with bowing spine. Scalp is thickened and thrown into folds. Overgrowth of body hair. Visceral organs are enlarged. So this is the extremities, which you can see there is an enlarged extremities. And thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal gland also shows hyperactivity because of increase in GH, hypoglycemia, glycosuria, hypertension, headache, visual disturbances. All these are the clinical features of acromegaly. So gigantism is a increase in GH in childhood, acromegaly is increase in GH in the adult. So that is about growth hormone. Next hormone secreted from anterior pituitary is prolactin. So when prolactin is excess, it is called as hyperprolactinemia, most commonly seen due to lactotroph prolactin secreting adenoma called as prolactinoma. Occasionally, hyperprolactinemia results from hypothalamic inhibition of prolactin secretion by certain drugs like chlorpromazine, reserpine and metaldopa. Female hyperprolactinemia causes amenorrhea galactoria syndrome, characterized clinically by infertility and expression of drop or 2 drops of milk from the breast, which is not related to pregnancy or puerperium. In males, it may cause impotence or reduced libido. So next disorder is due to hyperactivity of the hypersecretion of adrenocorticotrophic hormone. Rare disease characterized by obesity called as Cushing's disease. Hypersecretion of glucocorticoids, mainly cortisol. This cortisol can be either of the pituitary origin. If it is pituitary origin, it is called as Cushing's disease. If it is adrenal origin, it is called as Cushing syndrome. So pituitary origin, increased secretion of ACTH leads to hypoplasia of adrenal cortex. Therefore, hypersecretion of glucocorticoids takes place. ACTH is increased by tumors in pituitary cells, basophilic cell, malignant tumor of neuroendocrine origin like cancer of lungs or abdominal viscera, hypothalamic disorders causing hypersecretion of corticotrophin releasing hormone. So signs and symptoms, here what will happen, these patients will have peculiar signs and symptoms, a disproportionate distribution of body fat resulting in moon face, very very important, fat accumulation and retention of water and salt in the face, torso, that is fat accumulation in chest and abdomen but slim legs and arms, buffalo hump, fat deposit on back of the neck and shoulder, pot belly, fat accumulation in the upper abdomen due to excessive secretion of adrenocorticotrophic hormone. So this is a moon-like face, this is a fat accumulation in the neck, buffalo hump. And next is purple stria, reddish purple stripes on the abdomen mainly due to 3 reasons. Stretching of abdominal wall by excess subcutaneous fat, rupture of subabdominal tissue due to stretching, deficiency of collagen fiber due to protein depletion. All these leads to a stria called as purple stria. So these are the signs of Cushing's disease. It means there is an increase in glucocorticoid or adrenocorticotrophic hormone. So thinning of extremities, thinning of skin and subcutaneous tissue, darkening of skin on neck called as acanthosis, pigmentation of skin, facial reddiness, weakening of muscles, facial hair growth, bone resorption leads to osteoporosis, hyperglycemia due to gluconeogenesis leads to adrenal diabetes or glycosuria, hypertension, immunosuppression, poor healing. All these are the features of Cushing's disease due to increase in mineralocorticoid. So, hyperactivity finish, gigantism, acromegaly, hyperprolactinemia and Cushing's disease. Then next is posterior pituitary hypersida, that is syndrome of inappropriate. So, it results in excessive secretion of ADH, more ADH, antidiuretic hormone, against diuresis. It means which manifests clinically by passage of concentrated urine due to increased resorption of water and loss of sodium in the urine. Consequent hyponatremia, hemodilution and expansion of intra and extracellular fluid volume. Inappropriate release of ADH occur most often in paraneoplastic syndrome. Example in oat cell carcinoma of the lung, carcinoma of pancreas, lymphoma and thymoma. Infrequently, lesion of the hypothalamus to the trauma, hemorrhage and meningitis may produce ADH hypersecretion. The next is precocious puberty. A tumor in the region of hypothalamus or the pineal gland may result in premature release of gonadotrophins, causing the onset of pubertal changes prior to age of 9. More of gonadotrophin, that is FSH and LSH. The feature includes premature development of genitalia both in male and female, growth of pubic hair and axillary hair. In the female, there is a breast growth and onset of menstruation at the early age, that is called as precocious puberty. So next will be the hypopituitary disorders. In this we have dwarfism first. Dwarfism is a pituitary disorder seen in children characterized by stunted growth like this. Reduction in the GH in infancy or early childhood occurs because of following reason: deficiency of growth hormone releasing hormone from hypothalamus, deficiency of somatomedin C, atrophy of astrophilic cells in the adenohypophysis, tumors of chromophobes, non-functioning tumor compresses and destroys the normal cell. So less growth hormone will release. Stunted skeletal growth, maximum height will be approximately 3 feet, head becomes slightly larger in relation to body. Mental activity is normal without any deformity. Important point here, they will not be mentally abnormal, they are mentally stable. The reproductive system is not affected due to lack of GH, but in panhypopituitarism, puberty is not obtained due to lack of gonadotrophic hormones. Next is opposite to acromegaly, which is acromicria. Rare disease in adult characterized by atrophy of the extremities of the body. Deficiency of GH in adult, secretion of GH decrease in the following condition: deficiency of GH releasing hormone, atrophy of the astrophilic cells in the anterior pituitary, tumors of chromophobes or panhypopituitarism. In adults, GH will decrease, leads to extremities will be atrophic. So this is the acromia, this is acromegaly, acromicria. So atrophy and thinning of extremity is associated with hypothyroidism because it is associated with panhypopituitarism. That means all the hormones of pituitary will be decreased, leads to hypothyroidism, hyposecretion of adrenocortical hormone, persons become lethargic and obese, loss of sexual function because of lack of FSH and LSH. The next is Sheehan syndrome. So now we are reading about deficiency disorder, that is hypopituitarism. Pituitary insufficiency occurring due to postmortem pituitary necrosis, that is Sheehan's necrosis is called as Sheehan syndrome, whereas occurrence of similar process without preceding pregnancy as well as in the male is termed as Siemens disease. So Sheehan syndrome is a pituitary undergoes necrosis, that is pituitary will die due to pregnancy. If pituitary undergoes necrosis, it will not release any hormones. The main pathogenetic mechanism underlying Sheehan's necrosis is the enlargement of the pituitary occurring during pregnancy, which may be followed by hypotensive shock precipitating ischemic necrosis of the pituitary. Other mechanisms hypothesized are DIC following delivery, traumatic injury to vessels and excessive hemorrhage. The first clinical manifestation of Sheehan syndrome is failure of lactation following delivery, which is due to deficiency of prolactin. Because all the hormones in the pituitary is decreased. Now, of course, prolactin will not come. The prolactin will be released from posterior pituitary, and which is very important hormone for the secretion of milk. So, no prolactin, no milk secretion. Subsequently, other symptoms develop, which include loss of axillary and pubic hair, amenorrhea, sterility, and loss of libido. Concomitant deficiency of TSH and ACTH may result in hypothyroidism and adrenocortical insufficiencies. And one more cause of hypopituitarism is empty sella turcica, which is characterized by appearance of empty sella and features of panhypopituitarism. So, pituitary is present in sella turcica. Pituitary will be absent here. Most commonly, it results from herniation of the subarachnoid space into the sella turcica due to an incomplete diaphragm cella creating an empty sella, and also surgical removal of the gland can lead to empty sella syndrome. So dwarfism, acromicria, Siemens disease or Sheehan syndrome. Then we had empty sella syndrome in hypoactivity of the anterior pituitary. Then hypoactivity of the posterior pituitary leads to diabetes mellitus. So So posterior pituitary disorder characterized by excessive excretion of water through urine because of lack of ADH, antidiuretic hormone is not released, so it is not able to reabsorb the water, the sodium, everything, so the patient will have continuous excretion of water. Develops due to deficiency of ADH, which occurs in the following condition: lesion or injury or degradation of supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei of hypothalamus, lesion in hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract, atrophy of posterior pituitary, inability of renal tubules to give response to ADH hormone called as nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. So in this diabetes insipidus, patient will have polyuria, that is excretion of large quantities of dilute urine with increased frequency of voiding is called as polyuria. Daily output is 4 to 12 liters. Due to absence of ADH, the epithelial cells of distal convoluted tubule in the nephron and the collecting duct of the kidney becomes impermeable to water. Then we have polydipsia, where intake of excess water because of polyuria, third center in hypothalamus results in intake of large quantities of water. Then the person will have dehydration because of loss of water. In some cases, the third center in hypothalamus is also affected by the lesion. Therefore, water intake decreases in these patients and loss of water through urine is not compensated, leads to dehydration. So these are the disorders of the pituitary where the activity is increased and decreased. Then we have pituitary tumors, that is the cancer of tumor. So tumors can be again benign or malignant. So tumors of anterior pituitary are more common than those of posterior pituitary and hypothalamus. The most common of the anterior pituitary tumors are adenomas, that is benign are most common than the carcinoma. There can be primary and metastatic carcinomas being rare. Then other tumor which is more commonly seen in pituitary is craniopharyngiomas and granular cell tumor called as choriostoma, found occasionally. So all pituitary tumors, whether benign or malignant, causes symptoms by the following two ways. One is by the pressure effect, another is the hormonal effect. Pressure effect, they are caused by expansion of the lesion resulting in destruction of the surrounding glandular tissue by the pressure atrophy. This causes erosion and enlargement of sella turcica, upward extension of the tumor damaging the optic chiasma, optic nerves, neurohypophysis and adjacent cranial nerves, rarely downward extension into nasopharynx. Hormonal effects, depending upon the cell type, pituitary adenomas produce excess of pituitary hormones as corresponding in the clinical syndromes of hyperpituitarism. Then infraction and destruction of adenoma may also cause symptoms of hypopituitarism. So in hormonal effects, we have both hyper and hypopituitarism. So pituitary adenomas are more common tumors, conventionally classified according to their H&E staining characteristic of granules into acidophil, basophil and chromophobe adenomas. So these are this table shows you the type of adenoma and the hormone produced in the clinical syndrome. So if it is a lactotroph adenoma called as prolactinoma, it produces more prolactin. More prolactin leads to hypogonadism and galactorrhea. Similarly, somatotroph adenoma, more GH, acromegaly and gigantism. Mixed somatolactotroph, both acromegaly and hypogonadism. Corticotroph adenoma, Cushing's disease. Gonadotroph adenoma, inactive or hypogonadism. Thyrotroph adenoma, thyrotoxicosis because of release of more TSH. Null cell adenoma or oncocytoma, pituitary failure. So like this, depending on the cell type, the adenoma will grow and that particular hormone will be elaborated. So if that particular hormone is elaborated, the syndromes will have, all these syndromes can occur. So grossly, pituitary adenomas range in size from small foci of less than 10 mm in size, termed microadenoma, to large adenomas having several centimeters in diameter. They are spherical, soft, encapsulated. Histologically, by light microscopy sections, adenoma is composed predominantly of one of the normal cell type of the anterior pituitary, that can be acidophil, basophil or chromophobe. The normal cells will be little more and it secretes the similar type of hormones. So pituitary adenoma may also occur as a part of multiple endocrine neoplasia type 1, in which adenomas of pancreas, islets, parathyroid and pituitary are found. So all the three are there in MEN1, PPP, pancreas, parathyroid, pituitary. Clinically, the patients are characterized by combination of features of Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, hyperparathyroidism and hyperpituitarism. The next tumor of pituitary gland is called as craniopharyngioma. Craniopharyngioma is a benign tumor arising from remnants of Ratske's pouch. It is more common in children and young adults. The tumor, though benign, compresses as well as invades the adjacent structure extensively. Grossly, the tumor is encapsulated, adherent to the surrounding structure, and is typically cystic reddish-grey mass. Histologically, craniopharyngioma closely resembles stratified squamous epithelium, frequent lining assist, and contains loose stellate cells in the center. And it also has a solid ameloblasthic area. So, this is one more tumor of the pituitary gland. So, thank you. Still, we have another two topics left out in this particular class, the adrenal glands and the thyroid glands. Adrenal and the parathyroid gland. So, I will just stop here and I will open one more PPT and we will continue the class.